Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show. We show you how to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and welcome to another edition of Tales from the Underhive. This is Battle Report number 7. It is a Hunter's campaign. It is fought between myself, Commander CheapSkate, with my jury, which is my House Cawdor gang, versus Death and his People Eaters, which is a Scavvy gang. So this could be kind of an interesting game to kind of take it on to. We're kind of like going on to the next level of our campaign. We're now introducing 4 more new gangs into our repertoire of Underhive dwellers. We have a new Delac gang that's coming inside of here. Of course, we have the Scavvies, which are featured on this battle report as well. We also have an Escher gang popping up in this one. Same thing with a Arbites, Adeptus Arbites Enforcers gang as well. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how the new campaign works out. But for this one, though, it is the jury versus the People Eaters, which are the Scavvies. So let's see what happens when Redemptionists go up against a bunch of cannibalistic radioactive mutants. Alright, so let's talk about the jury. It is my House Cawdor gang. Leading him, we have Riptor. He is my leader with armed with a chainsword, an auto pistol, bolt gun, mesh armor, has the fixer skill. Next comes Stubber. He's my heavy. He's armed with a heavy stubber, auto pistol, last gun, and blind snake pouch. Now for my gangers, we have Lemonhead. He is a ganger armed with a last gun, infrared goggles, and true grit skill. Zero, who is another ganger armed with a last gun and has a hand injury. Scorpion is another ganger with a last gun. DJ, who's another ganger with an auto gun. Mondo, who's armed with an auto gun and has a head wound. He rolled for Frenzy on this battle report. And we also have Darkseid, who's armed with a shotgun with solid scatter and manstopper shells with frag grenades. And of course, my newest ganger, who is Tetsuo. He's armed with an auto gun with drum magazine, also equipped with a sword, frag grenades, nerves of steel skill, counterattack skill, as well as a quick-witted skill. For my Jews, we have VR. He's armed with twin auto pistols. He also has an old battle wound as well. He rolled to participate in this battle report. He's also got nerves of steel skill. Next comes Johnny. He's a Juve armed with a stub gun, dum-dum bullets, and a maul. Reptile, who's armed with stun gun, dum-dum bullets, sword, frag grenades, as well as counterattack. And during one of my battle reports, we rolled up on the settlement chart, got a 6, so I got a brand new Juve. His name is Jockey. He's armed with a stub gun as well as dum-dum bullets. And of course, for my hired guns, we have Red Harvest. He is my rat skin scout. He is armed with a maul, blind snake pouch, hunting rifle, and he's got the evade and infiltrate skills. And that brings my gang rating to 1,984 points. All right, now it's time to talk about the People Eaters, who's Death's Scavvy gang. Leading the People Eaters, we have King Slender. He is a mutant boss, armed with a shotgun, solid, and scatter shot, sword, last pistol, and he's also got plague zombies. He rolled a 2 on this one, so 2 plague zombies are participating in this battle report, and he's also equipped with the hideous mutation. Next comes Roar. He's a scaly, armed with a spear gun, and he's got the killer rip skill. Next comes Blood Razor, who's another mutant, armed with an auto pistol, massive axe, and claw mutation. Next comes Bloodwing, who's a mutant with auto gun and wings mutation. And then we have the Nerf Herder, who's a mutant with a massive club, stud gun, and has got the bloated mutation. Next comes our 3 other Scavvies. We have Nerf number 1. He is a mutant who is armed with twin stub guns, dum-dum bullets, and a 2-heads mutation. Nerf number 2, who is a Scavvy armor with a blunderbuss and tox bombs. Nerf number 3, who's also a Scavvy with a stub gun and tox bomb as well. Next, we become the rest of our regular Scavvies. We have the Oculoid, he's armed with an auto gun. Beaker, who's armed with an auto gun. Hoodie, who is also armed with an auto gun. And then another 3 more Scavvies. Binbag, who's armed with an auto pistol and a maul. Sockhead, who's armed with an auto pistol and a maul. And Half-Face, who's also armed with an auto pistol and a maul on this one. And that basically brings up his oh, you know what? Actually, I don't have his gang rank on here, but approximately his gang rank is about 1,200 odd points, roughly about there. So yeah, that's the armies for this one. So with that, we go on directly to the Hunters scenario. All right, when he rolled off in the scenario charts, Death basically got the advantage in this one, so he picked the Hunter scenario as directly out of the Outlanders rulebook for the Community Edition rulebook. And basically, the Outlanders rulebook, Outlanders Hunter scenario is pretty much like this the shootout scenario, except what happens is that both gangs are basically kind of hidden. You have like a number of handful of fighters who are stuck right in the middle of the table. They'll be taking place in the middle of that battlefield. They're right in the middle of the opening there. They line up against each other, except instead of moving only 1 inch, the Hunters move 2 inches, while my gang, who are the defenders, only move 1 inch. At the same time, my gang is kind of hidden around the battlefield, as well as his gang will have to roll to see when they arrive to reinforce their members during the shootout. So it's actually kind of cool. And plus, just like the shootout, we have build-up rolls, so we'll talk about that with each of the rounds. So with that being said, let's move on directly to the deployment phase. All right, we go directly to the deployment phase. As you can see here, right in the middle of the table, you have my opponent who's set up about 7 of his members. He's got 2 plague zombies. The rest are all Scavvies and mutants, all lined up right there in the center of the table, and lined up against that wall with the MCI Chemical Works as 3 of my members of my gang as well. As you can also see in this picture as well, on the bottom left-hand corner there, I got some of my gang members deployed, and on the far right-hand side, next to the West Super Red, is basically how the rest of my gang located at as well. So with that, let's go and zoom in closer to the individual deployment zones. All right, so let's go start with the center deployment there. Let's go ahead and talk about my members of the gang that are going to be representing us in the shootout portion of this battle report. As you can see right there in the center, I have Riptor. On his left-hand side there, I have what's his name, Darkseid, who's my gang armed with a shotgun. On the right of him, we have Reptile, who's my Juve, who's also taking place there as well. Right across from them, we have the rest of the members of the People Eaters. We have King Slender, the leader. We have Blood Razor, as well as Blood Wings. We have two of the mutants there. We also have Roar representing there as well. And of course, my opponent's two Plague Zombies are also there as well. So my jury members are basically outnumbered 2-1 on this part. So that's pretty rough. However, as per rules, as you can see here, here's my defending gang. Basically, I put them out between two different areas. As you can see, this part I got Zero. I got Red Harvest as well as Stubber, as well as my other two last gun wielding gangers, Scorpion as well as Lemonhead. They're basically located right here between the buildings, so that way they can get my enemies stuck in the development there in the center portion. So that's where half of my gang is located for this battle report. And here in the center of the West Super is the rest of my gang. As you can see, I got all three of my Jews. I got VR, Johnny, as well as my newest Juve, Jockey, who's located there. And right behind them, I have my three auto gun wielding gangers. I have Mondo on the left-hand side, DJ on the far right-hand side, and right there in the center is Tetsuo, who's my newly promoted Juve turned ganger now. And he's armed with his drum rifle, his auto gun with a drum magazine. So that's where the rest of my gang is located at. So with that, we go directly onto the rounds. All right, so we start off with round number one. We both roll off. We also advance forward 1 inches for me and 2 inches for my opponent. As you can see, for the total rolls of it, the jury basically rolls a 4, so we're up to 4 points at this point, while the people eaters roll a 6, so they're down to 0 points on this part. So nothing much happening for this round. All right, in round number two of the quick draw phase, as you can see here, basically people eaters roll another 6. They're still stuck at 0, while my jury members rolled a 1, so that brings up to 5 points, which is also kind of sad because that means I might lose the nerve on this one. So yeah, that's pretty much happening up in this round. Alright, so we start the beginning of round 3. We all move our distances. As you can see in this one, the jury roll a 3 on this part, so our total comes up to 8, while the people eaters roll another 6, and they're now stuck at 0. So because of that, we got another round of the build-up going on out there. So on to round number 4. Alright, so the top of round 4, the jury is up at 15 points at the end of that, and it's because of the people eaters roll another 6. They're at 0 points, so because we're so close together, we can't move advancing further, so we go directly into round number 5. In round number 5, the jury rolls a 3. We break the nerve at 18 points, while the people eaters roll a 4. Because of that, guns are drawn. It's time to kill people. All right, with that being done, here is a list for the fast draw. So directly in this order is where we're going out with our shootout for this part. We start off with Riptor for the jury. Next comes King Slender, who's the leader of the People Eaters. After that comes Reptile, he's my Juve, followed by Darkseid, who's my ganger armed with a shotgun. And the neat part about those two is they're both armed with frag grenades, could really help me out in this battle. Next comes the other members of the People Eaters. We have Blood Razor, Blood Wing, and finally Roar. And the last two, of course, are the Plague Zombies because, you know, they really don't have to worry about shooting out at this point. So yeah, that makes the fast draw list. Let's see how the shooting continues. All right, so in the fast draw phase, the very first person to shoot first is my leader, Riptor. He takes his auto pistol and just cuts loose on King Slender. I managed to put that bad boy down with one shot. So because of that, King Slender is now down. He's not out of action yet, but basically he's down. But because he's down and he can't basically shoot, my poor opponent loses his shooting phase for that part when it comes to King Slender. So with King Slender down, we now go to my other two members of my jury, which is both Reptile as well as Darkseid. Reptile goes first, and because Mom didn't raise no fools, I open up with frag grenades. Is what I decided to do. I take Reptile, I make a chunk one of his frag grenades. Lucky for me, he hits, and his explosion goes off, and he doesn't get hit by it. So that was kind of lucky on that part. So because of that, that explosion goes off and just tears through about the left-hand side of his gang, which is actually pretty amazing for that part. As you can see from the results of that grenade explosion, I managed to put 2 wounds. I managed to put down Socket Head, which is one of the Scavvies there on the right-hand side. I managed to put down his Plague Zombie as well on the left-hand side. So that worked out pretty well for my favor, so kudos to me. And with that, we move on to Darkseid's turn. And because frag grenades work so well for a Reptile, I figure why not try to do the same with Darkseid. So I take Darkseid, make a chunk with his frag grenades. He hits his target, the grenade goes off, and basically put some wounds out there. So that part was actually kind of cool. Unfortunately, all I managed to do was just upset my opponent, really, is all I could basically do on that part. I managed to put down one of his Plague Zombies, but that's really about it. Now, the rest of his Scavvies, they open up with their guns. Basically, they kind of miss, don't really make their shots too well. However, it is Rar's turn, who is the Scaly there, is right there in the middle there. He takes aim with his spear gun, hits Riptor, and sends my poor gang leader flying all the way back to that wall. Basically, got shot dead center of mass and got impaled against that MCI wall and basically dropped him with that shot. So that part kind of sucked, but anyway, phase, that's where the revenge came in for the Scavvies on that part. So with all the shootouts taking place in the fast draw phase, we now go to the regular Necromunda fighting rules, and we roll off to see who has initiative and who goes first in the next turn. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I felt kind of bad for Riptor being shot with a spear gun, but at the same time, that must have looked really cool if you think about it cinematically. That would have been pretty awesome looking. But anyways, moving on to the rest of the battle report. All right, so now we start off at the top of turn one for the Scavvies after movement. As you can see that, my opponent basically rolled to see if the rest of his game comes on the table or not, and basically they do. As you can see, the entirety of that Scavvy horde of the of the people are just basically just assembled there on the left-hand side, and they're about to bring the pain on that part. So that part was pretty rough. So because his gang now deployed, they can basically start moving around and start doing everything else and go up to the typical Scavvy shenanigans that they're used to doing. And what my opponent basically does, that Odeth basically sends the rest of his Scavvies just running as quickly as they possibly can. He sends his auto gun wielding Scavvies up into the second floor of that structure there, so that way they can get kind of like aerial positions and be able to take cover and open fire on my guys right there in the center. As you see on the right hand side, he's got some of his gangs located there right next to the Alexander's department store. As you can see here on the right hand side, he basically runs the Nerf Herder as well as Nerf 1, Nerf 2, and Nerf 3, as well as two members of his other Scavvies as well, which are the auto pistol wielding Scavvies. Also run there to the corner of Alexander's department store and try to get within shooting distances there. As you can see there in the center of the board, he also rushes his guys into start engaging close combat onto my gang members, so that part's kind of rough. As you can see here in the center portion of the board, my opponent sends Blood Claw as well as Blood Razor and Rar charging into Dark Side. So Dark Side's now outnumbered 2-1, while he sends his Mutant Bloodwing with the wings. He each has him charge right directly into Reptile as well. So now my two members in the center of the board are now engaged in close combat. So yeah, because my opponent basically ran and he can't shoot anymore, we go directly to the combat phase. And in the combat phase, Reptile just unleashes a can of whip ass on Bloodwing and manages to put the hurt on that guy down. So that part was kind of cool because, Reptile's got some skills on him. He's got some skills associated with him. He's really good at close combat. He's actually a pretty good killer for my army. So because of that, he puts Blood Razor to the ground and basically gives him a Kirby in the face on that part. As you can see, because Bloodwing went down in close combat, he automatically goes out of action. So chalk one up for the team because we've already managed to put one of these Scavvies out of action, which is pretty awesome as well. At the same time, though, I can't really brag too much about this because the Scavvy gang are basically a brand new gang and they're going up against a pretty seasoned Cawdor gang, which is my gang. So, I gotta give it to, I can't really take full credit and act like I'm a total banff on this close combat thing because I am fighting a rookie gang. So you also have to take that as a grain of salt as too. So, yeah, that pretty much what happens on that part of the combat phase. Over here on the right hand side for the combat for Darkseid, I pretty much lucked down that part. For the most part, Roar and Darkseid basically came out to a draw, I think is basically what it came down to when it came to the close combat. So because that, Darkseid is still sticking around, same thing with Roar. However, for Blood Razor, which is the mutant with the claw for a hand, he didn't fare so well. So because that, he went down and he's also out of action as well. So combat between Roar and Darkseid is still going on for the next turn. Now that combat's over, we go directly to the recovery phase. I can see the guys who basically went down during the shootout, during the fast draw portion of the hunters, didn't do very well. Basically, Sokka Head, as well as King Slender, as well as one of his plague zombies, all three of those guys went out of action. So this is not good whatsoever. So because those guys went out of action, my opponent basically had to take a leadership test for a bottle test on one of his Scavvies. The Scavvies only have like a leadership of 6, I think is what it is. They managed to pass their bottle test, so because of that, they're still sticking around for another round, but things are not looking too well for the Scavvies at this point. As you can see for Odeth's People Eaters, King Slender's out of action. Same thing with Bloodwing and Blood Razor. The Blood Brothers are both out of action as well. Same thing with one of his Plague Zombies. That guy's out of action too. And then Sockethead is also one of his Scavvies armed with the Auto Pistol. That guy is out of action as well. So with the Scavvies recovery phase over with, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the jury. All right, this is the bottom turn number 1 after move for the Cawdor. As you can see there, basically from both sides of the board, I just had my gang members just run as quickly as they possibly could. I have Red Harvest as well as Lemonhead and Stubber. They climb up to the second floor of that structure on the left-hand side. I got Zero as well as Scorpion, kind of, sorry, not Zero and Scorpion. I have Lemonhead and Scorpion running up the middle there of the MCI Chemical Works, trying to lend some assistance there towards the center portion. As you see in the top right-hand corner, basically all my Jews and my auto gun wielding gangers just swarm right out of the West Superette to basically lend some support for my guys who's going to need it for the Scavvies coming from the left-hand side. All right, here's a close-up of Zero as well as Red Harvest and Stubber taking up covered fighting positions there on the second floor of the structure there. As you see on the right-hand side, I have both Zero, Lemonhead, as well as Scorpion around the center of the MCI Chemical Works to kind of lend support over to the guys in the center. In the center portion of the board is a close-up of the close combat that's taking place. Basically, I charge Reptile into the fray to help back up Darkseid against Rar, so those two guys now are engaged in close combat. In the right-hand corner there, you kind of make up my rest of my gang, kind of coming out to lend support. And here's a close-up of the rest of my gang charging out of the West Superette. So you can see up there in the front, I got my three Jews. I have Johnny, um, Jockey, as well as what's the other guy's name? VR, kind of charging out forward. Right behind them, I got Mondo, DJ, as well as Tetsuo bring up the rear. So that makes a move for this side. We skip shooting because my entire gang basically runs out of his hiding in order to engage into the fray, so that way, because of that, we don't have any shooting phase in this battle, in this portion of my turn. However, we go directly to the close combat phase. You can see it's kind of lackluster for me. Darkseid basically gets curb stomped by Rar, so that part was kind of sad. And when it came between Riptile and Rar, they both ended up with a draw, so because I know those guys basically did cause an injury to the other guys. So because of that, Riptile and Rar now engage in close combat for the next turn on that part. So with combat out of the way, we go directly for the recovery phase for the jury. And as you see in this picture, the recovery phase goes pretty poorly for me. Both Riptor as well as Darkseid are both out of action, so now if I have to start taking bottle tests, I will not be able to use Riptor's amazing leadership skill. However, I do have Lemonhead. Lemonhead does have a really high leadership score for a ganger, so that part's kind of nice, but Riptor has a perfect 10 on his leaderships, and that's always better. So because of that, with recovery phase done, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Scavvies. So as you can see at the top of turn number 2 for the Scavvies after move phase, you can see the top of that structure there in the middle, on the left-hand side of the board, his auto gun wielding Scavvies make up to the second floor and start putting themselves into cover fire position to open up my game that's approaching there on the right-hand side. And as you can see there towards the center of the Alexander's department store under the nerf herder as well as the 3 nerfs, and the 2 pistol wielding Scavvies basically run for it as quickly as they possibly can, as well as to start taking up position there right there in the middle of the board and lay some support for Roar. So that makes a move for this side of the board. And as you see here, here's a close-up of Odeth's beautifully painted Scavvy gang, which is actually kind of really nice looking. I like that really bright red that he's put on that gang. It kind of makes him pop, because this gang is pretty much painted up in gray and brown and black, but that bright red, man, that just makes that gang look really, really, really cool, which is awesome on that part. So yeah. Anyways, sorry, just bragging about my friend's paint job. So there he is. There's a close-up on that part. All right, so because there's no shooting going on because the Scavvies basically ran last turn, we go directly to the close combat phase. As you see in this picture, Reptile managed to inflict a wound onto Rar, and Rar didn't manage to inflict a single wound onto Reptile, which is pretty awesome. Now, I really have to throw it down to Reptile's counterattack abilities, basically kind of saved him on that one. I believe that's the one where my opponent has to reroll the highest die roll that he rolls for his attacks, so because of that, that really helps save me out in that part as I managed to get a wound onto Rar. In fact, now I think about it, I think I actually hit that guy 3 different times, but only managed to wound him once, so hooray for Reptile. However, I'm feeling kind of bad for him because my next round, if I don't pull some movement shenanigans or shooting shenanigans pretty quickly, poor Reptile is going to get swarmed by those nerfs, and as well as a nerf hurt the rest of those Scavvies. So yeah, that makes a combat, and with combat out of the way, we go directly to the recovery phase. In the recovery phase, Odeth has to roll for a bottle test because half his gang is now currently out of action. He rolls his 2d6 and he rolls an 8. So because of that, his gang bottles out. So here's the end of the game. As you can see in the top there, about half of his gang is still kind of kicking right there on the left-hand side. Most of my gang is still doing pretty good. I only lost 2 guys who are out of action. So yeah, pretty interesting game. The Hunter scenario is actually pretty on point. It's a pretty neat scenario. It's kind of like a mixture between what you call like a gang fight scenario, same thing with a fast draw or shootout scenario. So that part was actually kind of cool. So I really enjoyed this game. A lot of fun playing against it, and I liked the idea of playing against radioactive mutant cannibal people, which is kind of neat. So yeah, that pretty much runs it for this one. So with that, we go on to the after action report. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the post-game. This is basically a roll-off to see what exactly happens to each of the gangs after this scenario. This is the post-game battle report for my self-commanded CheapSkate, my jury of House Cawdor, versus my buddy Odeth of the People Eaters of his Scavvy gang. So let's go ahead and talk about what happens for the jury. For injuries, Rip Tornado actually makes a pretty full recovery, so that part's pretty awesome. And Darkseid, he rolls up and gets impressive scars, which gives him a +1 leadership ability. So I kind of lucked out there on the injuries. For advancements, I actually had a couple. About half my gang kind of advanced upward. Stubber got a +1 for his initiative. Lemonhead got a +1 for for his ballistic skill. My Gengar Zero got +1 for his weapon skill as well, and Mondo got a +1 for his attack. Dark Side, because of the number of wounds he inflicted upon his enemy, he basically gained the infiltration skill. I'm also got him the killer reputation skill and gave him +1 for his weapon skill on that advancement, so that part's pretty cool. And Reptile, that guy was a beast. He got promoted to Gengar because of his wounds that he inflicted. He also gained the quick-witted skill. He's got +1 to his leadership and +1 to weapon skills. Reptile is definitely a man to be reckoned with. And then finally, my last Jew, VR, he gains a gunfighter skill, which is pretty awesome because that guy's been packing 2 auto pistols, and it's time for him to bring the pain. For the territories, you managed to generate 55 credits and learned a rumor for one of my drinking holes, so I get a +1, or a +2 actually, or -2 on my next scenario roll because I also have my Raskin Scout Red Harvest, so that's also kind of nice as well. Plus, I also managed to capture King Slender, who's the leader of the people leaders, and basically, instead of selling him, I'm going to hold him for ransom, and the reason why we're doing that is because this is the actual first time that we actually might be able to play a rescue mission type of scenario, so we're looking for that part as well. For the merchants, I managed to buy a telescopic sight for Lemon Head's gun because Lemon Head's ballistic skill is pretty high up there now. I also got a stub gun for Jockey as well, and I also rehired Red Harvest my Raskin Scout. So with all said and done, my new gang rating is at 2,124 points, and my current record is 4 wins and 0 losses. So now let's talk about the post game for the people leaders. For injuries, King Slender ended up being captured by the jury, and now we're holding him hostage, so now we have to play a rescue mission type scenario for him to get back, which is kind of neat. As for the members of his gangs, the Blood Brothers, which are Blood Razor and Blood Wing, they made full recoveries, and same thing with Sockhead, he made a full recovery as well. Now for the advancements, the entire gang advanced because of all the underdog bonuses they get for experience. So let's run down the list. King Slender gets +1 for his weapon skill. He also gains the evade skill. Rar gets a hurl opponent skill. Blood Razor gets +2 for his weapon skill, +1 leadership. Bloodwing has +1 leadership, +1 strength, and +1 attack. The Nerf Herder gains +1 toughness, +1 wound, and quick-witted. Nerf number 1 gets the dodge skill, +1 weapon skill, +1 leadership. Nerf number 2 gets the escape artist skill, +1 strength and +1 toughness. Nerf number 3 gets jump back skill, the evade skill, and +1 weapon skill. The Oculoid, he's one of his Scavvies. He gets the catfall skill with +1 strength and +1 leadership. Beaker, he also gains +1 weapon skill, +1 toughness, and +1 initiative. Hoodie gains the infiltrate skill, the sprint skill, and +1 strength. Bing Bag gains +1 toughness, the gunfighter skill, and infiltrate skill. Sockhead gains +1 weapon skill, +1 initiative, and +1 leadership. And Half Face, he gains +1 ballistic skill, +1 attack, and +1 leadership. In his territories, end up earning 24 credits, all due to the giant killer bonus. He just barely had enough to keep all the rest of his guys fed, so he comes out with nothing on top. So because he has nothing to buy back his gang leader with, he's gonna have to come and rescue him. Basically, he buys nothing for the merchants. His new gang rating is now at 1,443 points, and their current record is at 0 wins and 1 loss. So this was a fun scenario, ladies and gentlemen. I had a lot of time playing this one. Great opponent as always. Great games as always. It's good to be back with my little vacay. So keep on subscribing, keep on liking, keep on commenting, and you guys just keep on being classy. So we'll see you guys on the flip side. Adios.